Rock am Ring 2023. Wir sind mit MoreCore.de und MoreCore.TV hier mit Joey von Gojira und werden uns jetzt ein bisschen unterhalten und er wird ein bisschen was malen. So, how are you doing, Joey? I think today is the first festival for you this year and you have like some summer shows also lined up in Europe. Like how stoked are you?
I'm really stoked. Everything is doing great. We actually played yesterday in Rock Park.
Of course. Yeah.
And it was great way to start the year. The bill is very interesting. I'm dying to see Kings of Leon tonight.
Okay.
We weren't able to see them yesterday, and I would love to check them out tonight.
Mm-hmm. I can imagine. So you're also taking the chances when playing on big festivals to see our bands?
Yes. Yeah. When it's possible. Often we're stuck between trying to catch some sleep, playing, and then bus call to head to the next show. So very often festivals for us are a lot of work and trying to get the right sleep and the right food at the right time. Mm-hmm. So it's not as exotic as people might think. But sometimes you have these very special days where there's a day off the day after, you can relax and actually enjoy some of the other acts.
Mm-hmm. I can imagine. And speaking of the lineup at Rock am Ring, it's pretty diverse, I would say. Like there's hip hop, there's rap music, but there's also extreme metal music like yours. And yesterday I just saw Meshuggah play. How does it feel to be in front of so many people that maybe aren't into that kind of heavy music? Is it different?
I don't have a problem with that. I like to shock with the music, I think it's always a good thing to be challenged by another kind of music or a different genre. Myself, I'm not scared to listen to something that is completely foreign to me and just try to. So I like to be the black sheep of a festival and be the brutal band that curses and makes a lot of noise. Yeah.
Nice. And I saw like in between the festivals you're also playing some headline shows, and something that I found very interesting is you pick many different bands that aren't that big yet as a support. Yeah. Like how do you pick them, and is this something that you do for the metal scene to support smaller bands and
Absolutely.
give them the stage?
Yeah. We never forget where we come from and how it felt when a band would take us on tour just because they like us, mm-hmm. not because we have a name or we can draw a lot of tickets. So once in a while we allow ourselves to just handpick a band just because we think they're super cool and we want to help them out. It's very simple, very basic, We would like to do that every time. Sometimes we pick a band because they can sell tickets. That happens, and sometimes turns out it's a good band too, But I think it's important for artists to always leave some room for, to support other artists that one day will be in your position and help out other artists too. So I think it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. I can imagine. And speaking of importance, like as always, like you had always this activism path within your music and also with the last record. And right now we're facing the climate change, and like it's getting worse every year. Like every summer is going to be the hottest summer we had, and it's not stopping. Like, is there some kind of frustration because you started doing this activism with this band that early and basically it doesn't change over the time?
Yeah. No, there is a frustration for sure, because I remember clearly being a teenager, pre-teenager, and seeing scientists and philosophers and thinkers and blowing whistles and saying, hey, we need to change our ways right now because in 50 years we're going to be effed. So, and seeing this happening right now feels like we completely didn't listen at the time, the scientists that were talking, and we completely ignored it. And it is frustrating. Yeah, it is frustrating. But I think the only thing we can do and what we must do is keep it up and keep the hope, mm-hmm. and try to project a vision of the future that is not total chaos, and try to, by projecting this thought, allowing it to happen, it's full of hope, because you see the oceans rising and the temperature climbing, and it seems like it's all because of what we did in the last 3 decades or something. But the Earth will be fine. The question is, are we going to survive or not? Pretty much.
Yeah.
And if we survive, who's going to survive? The rich?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's complicated. It feels like we're in the middle of a nightmare, and I'm trying to wake up from this nightmare.
But I have the feeling that heavy music is the right way to address it to the people, because I can't think of like pop songs like making people rethink their standards and like rethink how they like deal with the whole environment. I have the feeling that your music is somehow a wake-up call.
Yeah. That's how I felt when we started playing in 1996. It almost felt like there's something that I had no other choice but just to talk about things that mattered to me, instead of creating stories, horror stories, like, the first metal heavy bands in the 70s or 80s, they would create stories, like creepy stories, Halloween-y stories, for their music. But the reality is catching up on the Halloween stories and becoming so ugly that this is the new Halloween story, is what's happening in real life. And it seems like rock and metal still has a function in the society today, just like hip-hop had in black music, and brought a lot of truth to all the the music, the modern music, because at some point it seems like rock lost its purpose after the mid 90s or something. Rage Against the Machine were still bringing some fire, some sense to the music, but then it looked like the torch went to hip hop and rap, because there was a struggle in the black community, and it was perfectly expressed in rap. It seems like heavy music still has a function. We're trying to, to play with that. So.
Yeah. And I also saw that you've been touring with Knocked Loose in the US, and they've been they played at Coachella, which is super mainstream. Like, how does it make you feel to have like a heavy metal band in such a context on festival lineups that mainly focus on different music?
Great.
Okay.
I think it's good. Yeah.
So,
yeah. It's for me, it's just positive. People are becoming perhaps maybe more sensitive to this vibe of the metal scene, and bands that express, because it's not necessarily in the lyrics. A band like Knocked Loose, they're very organic and they express something. I don't understand the lyrics. I didn't really read them when we toured with them, but I really enjoyed their energy and what they were. They're simple people. They dress normally on stage, but they become like, on fire on stage, and it's really beautiful to watch. So yeah, festivals need some bands like that for normal people to see what's going on in this alternative world.
And I saw in April your album The Link just turned 20 years.
Yes.
How does it make you feel? Do you still enjoy it, or would you just like to rewrite it because like it was in a phase that sounds different from what you're doing now?
I'm very critical when it comes to my to my own writing and to the band's music. And for a while, I had a hard time even listening to this album because we didn't know what we were doing at the time. We bought gear to be able to record ourselves, but without the knowledge. So it gave a very the result was very interesting, very raw, a bit clumsy at times, and we did some weird things. But it has a unique, print or something. So for that, it's interesting. I wouldn't change a thing.
Sounds good.